Well guys, another day, another video, and this one is on the 5D, and I was using the 80 to 200mm magic drain pipe, as it is so called. It's basically the predecessor to the Mark 1 70 to 200mm, the white lens. This is actually a black lens, and a lot of the L lenses were black, and then they went white, and I think this had something to do with the heat, the way that, you know, black lenses absorb a lot more heat, so that might not be so good for the internals. And also, let's be honest, when you've got a white lens, it's like an obvious sign that you've got an L, so maybe they changed it to have a bit of brand distinction. Anyway, I'm waffling. This is the 80 to 200. So we're at f3.2. The lens goes down to 2.8, but you don't really get much more blur, you just get a bit more vignette, so generally don't take it down to f2.8 much. But let's just have a look at this bokeh. I know we've probably got some bokeh fans out there. Who doesn't love a good bit of bokeh? And instantly what I'm seeing that gives this lens a little bit of character is the edges of things have a bit of a green tint in the background. Okay, so you've got your focal plane here, and then anything beyond that focal plane has a little bit of a green tinge around objects. A little bit of a halation sort of thing. And this will be from the glass, from the coatings or lack thereof. And there's a few lenses that do this, but some do it less nicely than others. I know, for instance, if I'm shooting wide open on the 50mm Mark II, the Plastic Fantastic, anything in the foreground has a rather nasty pinkish magenta hue to it, and this lens does have a tiny bit of that, as you can see just around the flowers here. You can see anything in front of the focal point does have some halation too, but it's much cleaner than the 50. I think we can actually, I don't want to get off topic too much, but we can probably just compare that to some later shots here. This was when I took the 5D out the other day, did a video on this, and I want to find something where I shot it wide open and you can sort of see the difference. So this is at f1.8, so this is the lens absolutely wide open. It's a little bit unfair because we're shooting at 3.2 on the other image, but you can see the whole thing gets a little bit ugly in the foreground. Mainly, every lens I've used, the background blur always looks better than the foreground blur. That's just kind of how a lot of these lenses work. And you can see there's just a bit of... It's just a bit ugly, really. I think a more expensive lens would deliver a more premium looking bokeh, especially in the foreground. And that is true of the 80-200. Just looks that little bit nicer. Let's go back. We're going back here. So, let's have another look. Let's turn off all our detail. This is a good photo for it. You can just see. Oh, we got some graying on as well. Let me just get rid of that. You can just see how sharp this lens is and how well it's held up. I'm actually going to go beyond 1:1 here. I mean, it is like superbly sharp. Having compared this lens to the 70 to 200 Mark II that my friend has, he's also got a 6D with almost double the resolution of this camera sensor. There is not much in it. If anything, I would say the 80 to 200mm is on par. Really much like on par with the succeeding lenses. I've not tried the Mark III 70 to 200. That might be a bit sharper. Another thing that really almost makes this look like it was shot with a different camera to the nifty 50 is the contrast. So you can see there is just an awful lot more contrast in the photo, and it looks really good indeed. I'm not using big words today, am I? Really good, nice, not nice, but trying my best, guys. Not a reviewer, not really a voiceover guy, so... Oh, this is when it was going over hill. I think we did that again. Yeah, look at that. F3.2. You got... It's just... That foreground blur is just really good. That really does please me. Because honestly, once you start looking for it, you'll realise not every lens does that well. Going for a bit on that bump. Looks like the wheel came off the ground a bit. Again, that foreground blur. Keep talking about it, but that's one of the big selling points, guys. Another thing. So the Magic DRAINPIPE obviously has a bit of a... Well, I wouldn't say a cult following, because not many people actually own the thing, as far as I can tell. But I think another reason people quite like it is because your highlights, like, you know, your sun or a lamp or whatever you're shooting into, there's a really nice halation around it. I'm trying to think of the proper word for it, but yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of blooming in the highlights, and it doesn't really take away from the overall contrast of the image. I know I use a lot of vintage lenses, and a shot like this would just flatten the whole thing, and you'd end up having to, you know, bring things down like that, which actually almost made the shot look better. But anyway, yeah, you can just see there is a nice bloom in the highlights. That's a great example of why not to underexpose the 5D. Everything's down in this bottom third. You see when I push things up, it just starts to fall apart a bit, unfortunately. Mainly, you can tell with the greens, they just don't hold up too well when you start pushing things above a stop. So yeah, good little trivia for you. It's an image of a sheep. Why not? So let's turn off us detail, grain, zooming in, and just how sharp is this lens, man? It really does hold up well. The background is incredibly smooth, incredibly milky. It's not a distracting bokeh that you get. So this would be good for your portraits, you know, this kind of lens. What I am noticing, though, is that the 5D, after looking at the Fuji S5, I've done a review of that earlier today. Zooming into the 5D, you can start to see a lot of the problems with this sensor when you push. You know? Looks fine-ish there, but as soon as you push above a stop, sort of, you do get these kind of repeating patterns in the noise. Everything starts to go a bit digitally and a bit tinted. Can almost, I don't know what we're looking at there. It looks like the outline of something, doesn't it? Like a grid pattern. Just something to watch. Yeah, that could have done with being at least a stop higher in camera. So, that was with the 80-200. And for comparison, I'd like to have a look at some earlier shots. Now, these are taken outside, obviously. Similar time of day. There is less sunlight, but this is taken with the Sigma 24 2.8 super wide. And you can just see a bit of the difference. I'm not going to comment too much because it's just better to look sometimes. But yeah. Yeah, been quite happy with this camera. There is a few more images, I think, here with the 80 to 200. That is maxed out 200mm f4. The sharpness there is just really good. Really good. Like I say, guys, no big words today. Ooh, that's a good one. You can just tell. Catching the light nicely. Let's turn off the sharpening. So it's actually so sharp that it's making the lens glitch out a bit. You can see around here. There's a bit of moire, but it's like a sort of colour moire. It's an odd effect. Can't really tell when you're viewing it out here, but very sharp indeed. That's the takeaway from this video. Some of the lens flare you get, which I think is very, very cinematic. It's got a nice lens flare indeed. I think you've got 1, 2, 3, and then one behind the sun as well. See if there's any other ones with some. No. But there you go, guys. Honestly, you could do a lot worse for. I think I paid $280 for this. Again, 80 to 200mm. Just look at that contrast. Really nice, professional looking tone to the image, just almost straight away. Looks great even in Adobe Color, you know, all the starting points are there, and this just goes to show how important your lens choice is. .5D's suffering a bit because we're pushing that one. But yeah, just gives you a bit of an insight into the look you can get with this combination. Again, showing off that foreground blur and just how smooth it is. See that in black and white. Yeah, nice. Same car, but with the Sigma. Certainly less contrast. Still a great looking lens though, is that Sigma. It's just interesting sometimes to see the difference. And there's your nifty 50. So, I think that's about it. Might find... yeah, there's one more shoot I want to find. I'll just pause the video quick so I don't have to scroll through loads of photos. So, a couple of portrait shots for you. This is the RAW file. Let's go into 1:1. And we're at f5.6 here, so a bit deeper of a focus plane. And we shall try Portrait 160 look with this, which is one of my go-tos. It's quite pleasant, but it might need a bit of tuning, white balance wise. And in comparison, this is the JPEG straight from the camera. This will have been shot using the neutral look. You see, you do get a bit more sharpness from the RAW. There's not much in it though. There you go, yours truly. Compared with the JPEG. The JPEG has a lovely flat look. That's what people do rave about the 5D. Nice flat looking palette. And then let's go to the colour version of that one. So this is the RAW, and that's the JPEG. RAW, JPEG. Then we can see at a touch just that. Okay, yeah. Did a video on this issue. As you can see, when you put the camera neutral preset on, which is basically trying to look exactly like this, you can see it's not quite bang on. Colours are a little different. Say there's slight differences in hue, but the main thing is this has a nice punch to it. The blacks are black and the whites are white. When you go into neutral though, preset, raw, there's just a lift on everything. And then when you try and correct the lift, as I said in the other video, boom, boom, it's gone in a heartbeat. So I was speculating in the other video that might actually look how similar it looks though. Once you correct for that, I'd say the skin tones, even though I look really bad, the skin tones, let's just look at it from there, are better in the JPEG still. A bit more of a soft, I don't know what you'd call it. Slightly nicer skin tones. That's a bit too magenta and peachy. Same white balance and everything, whereas this just has a bit more of a professional look to the skin tones. Not much in it though, not much in it. Right, now I want to find another shoot with the 80-200. Okay, another shoot with the 80-200. This is at f8. And we can see this is the JPEG. We can see just how well it renders there. Sharp as a tack. And the colours out of camera there are just great. This is the 5D at its best. Just happened to choose the right settings, I think, on this day, and it was good light. But you could just what a look that is, really. You know, it's getting to that stage where the lighting is so bang on that I would choose the JPEG over the RAW. This is the RAW almost every time. It just gets something right in camera. Does the 5D. Not much in it, but it's there. Oh, great shot. Some ratted out hot rod thing there. So yeah, see if we've got some nice bit of motion blur there. But yeah, I feel like I keep repeating myself. So instead of doing that, let's find some more shots. Alright. Doing a bit of pet photography now. And again, 80-200. This is at f3.2. That's a JPEG neutral preset. And this is at the time when I think I was using Colour Fidelity Pack. And looking at it nowadays, I can see why I don't use it no more. That's your JPEG. And that's your RAW. I like them both. Not such a good shot. It's quite good. Turn off as detail and all that stuff as well. So this is just true output from the sensor. This is the JPEG. Nice and clean. And the RAW as well. No sharpening. that's with. Without. Holding up well. Right. One last shot of photos and then I'm calling it. Okay, so, just literally... That was pretty traumatizing, guys. Anyway, we're back to where we want to be. And let's find the good shot. There was a shot in here that absolutely slapped. This is what I would call pretty perfect 5D conditions. You've got like an overcast day, so there's no direct sunlight beams showing off the problems with the sensor. You know, everything's pretty flat lighting wise in this image. So yeah, I was really happy with how these came out. These are about f5 at 80mm. That's a strange look. There we go. I think that was at f5 as well. Nice smooth roll off into the background. See that bit of a detail shot for you. Nice. Let's see. There's one more image that I liked from this shoot. And I think it's that one. Yeah. And that's at f2.8, which was the right choice, I think. I should have kept it at 2.8. Just look at how nice that background is, man. Slightly overexposed. Just where you want to be on the 5D. Yeah. One of my favourite shots I think I've got with that camera. And all with the Magic DRAINPIPE. So, a few different looks for you. So yeah, thank you for sticking with me, guys. This has been a bit of a deep dive into the Magic DRAINPIPE. I've seen a few people rave about this thing online, but there's no one on YouTube actually looking at the files and comparing them. So I thought I might do that, help the community out, you know. Family man. So there you go. Hope this was somewhat enjoyable. I'm not saying go out and buy this because they don't come up very often. But a quick thing about old Canon lenses, if you are going to get into the 90s EF-L stuff, look for ones that have an arc drive motor. They're slow, they're loud, but they last forever. The 1990s USM motors tend to die out as a general rule. They're not as long lasting as the old arc form. The 80-200 is arc form. The original Nifty 50 Mark 1 I think is arc form as well, and they basically don't break almost never. You know, the electronics are far more likely to break before the motor itself goes. So yes, right, I'm going to call it there, guys. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.